been a minute, huh? Well, actually, for you, it probably hasn't been, because if I did this the way that I should do it, you very recently saw the video that I just uploaded, which was from December, which was 5 months ago. So time for you is very different than time for me. And the second thing that I should have done that I can confirm that I didn't is rewatch that video before I play this one or record this one, because I'm sure I said a lot of things there that may or may not be true today, or I may or may not have clarity around the confusions that I had then. And to be just so totally honest with you, I know that if I sit there and I watch that 20-minute video, I will lose the inspiration or the drive that I have right now to publish this one. And I think it is a lot more important for me personally to document this and share this than risk losing this for that. I guess before I talk about anything that may or may not have changed since December, something that I want to talk about is how hard it is to make these videos or document things for anyone other than myself when I don't know what's going on and I don't know how I feel. And if we're being honest, the whole reason that this channel even started in the first place was because I wanted to use this as a format to share things and document things that people usually don't, whether that was deep emotional traumas or circumstances or difficult things that I was learning or exciting things that I was learning, just things that we generally as humans put in the camp of vulnerable, icky, I don't think I should talk about that. Because this concept of should is just so messed up. It's just a way to kind of put yourself in a mental prison or a judgment prison and say, I should be this version of myself, or I should show up in the world like this. And the reality is that if you are being a full human, then there's nothing that you can't be. And there's nothing that you should be. You should just kind of hang out and do what calls to you and what feels right to you. And there shouldn't be any guardrails around that. But part of living in a society and having an understanding or an identification of a self is that it automatically segregates you from everything else. It's like me and other. And that makes us want to behave in certain ways and talk about things in certain ways. And so the challenge that I think I've had recently is just kind of acknowledging that that's why I started the channel. And that's why I made these YouTube videos, was to kind of go against that grain, but also just do what I felt called to do, which was share what I was experiencing when I was experiencing it. No holds barred, no films over anything, just the raw truth as I was learning to dissect and understand it. And over the last, I guess you could call it, year or so, that I have been challenged with this fog over my brain, or this lack of clarity around what I want to do or how I want to show up in the world or who I am, would have been a really amazing format to honor the spirit of this channel by sharing some of that. And I would be lying if I said that I didn't think about recording videos at all over the last year, especially in the last 9 months or so. Like, definitely at least a dozen times where I've said, you should probably be talking about this. But the hold or the challenge that I had around that wasn't that I didn't want to talk about it. It's just there is such a challenge in talking about things when you don't know what you're talking about, when you don't have the clarity, when you don't really even understand how you feel. And I would say that one of my gifts, also potentially a curse, but like one of my gifts as a human being, is that I am really self-aware. I don't know if it's the creative part of me or if it's just the way that I am built or conditioned or wired, but I can articulate what I am feeling. I can transcribe the way that I am feeling with a relative ease and a relative willingness. Like, I lean into that kind of stuff. But the lack of clarity and the haziness and the confusion that I have been feeling over the last 9 months really has been so complete, and it has washed over me so intensely without any sort of break. Very, very rare, very, very few pockets of pristine clarity. I don't know what I would sit here and say. Hey, waking up and confused again, not feeling great, don't know what the problem is, don't know where I went wrong, Here are the things that I'm kind of thinking about that could work. Trying to meditate. Let's see what comes up. Nothing's really coming up. It's just, I didn't really have anything that felt material to share. And maybe sharing the raw mud of what I was thinking about or feeling could have been valuable. And that's not a regret that I have. It's just something that I am noticing. Because how many times in life do people go through waves of this, whether they're for weeks or for years, where you're just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's a part of what people really liked about my channel in the beginning, was that I was so willing to kind of walk through these raw question marks and ambiguities and talk about them. But it became so ambiguous for me that I was just like, so that I was like, what's the point? I was like, I don't even know what I would say. But now I know, like, I'm sure there's a point to all of that, and there would have been value in that, even if I didn't think there was. But that's the long-winded answer for why I haven't been recording or documenting things, because even just trying to get to the truth within myself, within journaling, within meditation, within therapy, within just me and me on walks or sitting there and kind of just feeling through what I'm feeling or thinking about what I'm thinking or feeling and all that kind of fun stuff is just, I don't know. I still don't know. I really don't know. I have ideas and I'm just sort of stress testing things and seeing what kind of sticks and going through the process that, has really probably been trying to meet me for the last 3.5 years. So let's talk about what that process is. What happened is, I don't know if this is right or not, and it kind of makes me icky to think about, because I'm like, come on, dude, really? We couldn't figure this out. But in September of 2021, my ex and I broke up, and that was an emotional ringer. This is not supposed to be like a blame attribution or whatever, but and that's not like the intent with what I say, but that was, I think, one of the most painful things that I've experienced in my life. It created a lot of trauma that I think it's the first experience of like real big T trauma that I've had in my adulthood. Yeah, I got into this like crazy car accident and that left me with some painful things, but this one was really major. And the way that my neurochemistry and the way that I approached the world after that is, I'm not the same person anymore. And it's not the breakup. It's not like no longer being with that person. It was what that person wanted. And the way that like triggered every single wound that I have had in my life. Things that I've learned from my parents or believed because of my parents that I didn't even realize, like I had an opening to think maybe this isn't the truth. And then I had this amazing, amazing love story that felt so boundless and beautiful and intense and incredible, and like everything that I ever wanted to feel in love, I felt. And then I was forced to reckon with the fact that that would not be permanent, that it was very temporary, and that a lot of the wounds that I had would be triggered and would be detonated, and my heart feels like it completely reshaped itself. It's not the same heart anymore. I'm not the same person anymore. The way that I view the world is changed. It got a lot darker, and I didn't even realize that at the time because it wasn't safe to feel. It's literally almost been 4 years, and it's still like, I didn't think this was going to come up. This is not the direction that I had planned for this video, but I was so angry in the end, and I felt so let down, and I was so disappointed, and I was so pissed that I was just like, fuck you. You don't deserve me. You know better than to have asked what you asked for, and like, you're a human being. Whatever, she's a human being, it's fine. Like, we all need things, for sure. But that did not work with the person that I am and the spirit that I have. And if we're being real honest, I thought I was over it because I left that relationship willingly. I'm the one who kind of drew the final line in the sand and said, bye, you don't get me. You don't even deserve to think that you could get me. And I ran. And I left and I was like, I'm going to figure out how to love myself. I'm going to figure out how to show up for myself in a way that I thought this person was going to do for me. And in a way that she did do for me, but I need to kind of figure out how to source within myself. And I started going on these like solo dates where I was like, you're going to date yourself. And every month I set these beautiful journeys and I did amazing things and I found freedom and an expression of an identity within myself that I truly believe that I was put here in order to learn how to express, but I didn't know how to. My whole life, I was just so filled with fear. The pain of every single one of those wounds being ripped open, I was met with the opposite of that, the polar opposite of that, right? Like every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That's what happened, was the pain was so severe that the joy and the freedom and like what I was catalyzed into and what alchemized from that was so powerful and beautiful and amazing. And so I can't regret what happened because of that. And I think it was part of my soul's journey to experience that and to experience what I'm going through now, even though I don't know where it's taking me, but it was amazing. And so I'm so grateful, even though it really, really hurt. And I'm so confused about who I am now and the way that I love now and what I want out of love now. Because of that, I can't regret it. So anyway, that's what happened, and that's what I started to do, and I went on these amazing trips, and I was learning myself, and I was experiencing myself, and I was showing up for myself. But what I was also doing at the same time was not taking a break. I didn't know how to slow down. It didn't feel safe to slow down. Every minute of my life, I was moving or thinking or consuming something. I lost a lot of weight. I stopped eating. I was very excited by the way that I looked and the fitness that I was maintaining, and I was very attracted to the aesthetic experience of what I was going through and what I was putting myself through. I couldn't see how unhealthy it was because I felt amazing and I looked amazing. Well, I actually felt like shit, but I looked so good that I was convincing myself that I was good. And I ran and I ran and I ran, and I experienced a lot of very amazing things that had the right intentions behind them, but I was actually, the duality of that was like, while I was experiencing all of that bliss and amazing whatever, I was also destroying myself. And I was punishing myself, and I became extremely restrictive with my diet and my eating, and I wanted to get leaner and leaner. And the reality is that part of that, I think the big crux of that, was the fact that if I was hungry all the time, I had something to think about. And I had some area in this brain that was about to experience this massive wave of pain and uncertainty. Because of what I had experienced, it was just hungry all the time. And so I was just thinking, feed me, feed me, feed me. And the experience was so intense that nothing else could come up. And I liked that. I always had something to focus on. It was like, how long can I push my next meal off of? When is my next meal? It was like, I just became so food focused, and focusing my brain in that time was amazing. I stopped eating carbs. I got a lot of brain fog. I felt hazy all the time, but it kind of took the edge off of my raw and sharp experience of living, which is always something that's actually creates pain in my life, even though it also creates beauty, right? It's that duality thing again. And then I eventually got to the point where my body couldn't take it anymore, and I quite literally exploded out of that. I remember this one meal that I went to with my parents, and I couldn't stop eating, and I woke up the next morning and I couldn't stop eating, and I kind of blew up, and I was like, fuck, now I have shame because I identified as someone who was lean and dense and didn't need much of anything, and the image of fit kept me safe. And in that process, I had to realize that I was trying to make myself starve to show myself that I don't need to prove to myself that I am good and I'm amazing because I look so good and I look so amazing. And that was a rough adjustment. And I didn't lose that identity. That identity was ripped from me. And I had a few months of that. And then I met my girlfriend. And I kind of went in this jostly, juggly period of, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what that period of my life meant, to, whoa. Now you've met this amazing person. This person is so beautiful and so awesome. And like, now I need to learn how to open my heart again and give her what she deserves and what you deserve, which is to be loved. And you're getting everything that you asked for. You know, this person with this, you know, big and complex life and big emotions and awareness and love for people. This like deep, deep loyalty for people. And she has her own hobbies and her own life. And you have your own hobbies and your own life. And like, you'll meet in the middle. And that is literally exactly what I asked for from the universe. But I never actually processed any of that pain. I never confronted the way that my heart changed. I still have a really, really tired heart. And I don't associate myself as like being in pain from that, but I have not actually gotten to know who I am now. I have not become acquainted with her. I don't think of her necessarily as less than, but I cannot help but acknowledge the love that I used to be able to express and the care that I used to give people that I no longer can. I just can't wrap myself around people anymore. And I don't know how much of that is healthy, because I was like kind of codependent with my ex and I attached so aggressively. And I identified as a girlfriend hard. And now I don't. And I don't know how much of that is healthy, because I shouldn't be that intensely attached to someone or something, but there's a level of attachment that is healthy that I think I'm scared to do. And my girlfriend has created a very safe environment where I can slow down, and she doesn't love me because of what I do, which I think my ex did, which was fun. It perpetuated this sexy little sense of like, I'm going to work on the next project. I'm going to finish a YouTube video. I'm going to write poetry. I'm going to think about spirituality. And it was like, it was like shiny object syndrome. Like I wanted to hand her all these shiny little objects. And I was kind of saying, look at me, look at how awesome I am. Like, give me that praise and let me put it back into the system and let me work for you. And my current partner doesn't really give a shit about any of that. She just wants to be happy. And I don't know what it means to be happy when I'm not trying to perform for love. And it's pissing me off, because I just want someone to like kind of whip me and say, you have to do this for me to love you. And when you remove the guardrails and the pressure, because my whole life I felt this pressure. Either I was running from my parents because they were fighting, or I had to do certain things because they thought it's what I should do. And then I went to college, and I was really afraid that I was going to graduate without a job and I was going to be poor. And so I fought really hard to get a job. And I was like, let me just get the job and then I'll deal with whether or not it's the right job later. I just need to take a fucking breath. And then I got into this relationship with this girl who was awesome and made me feel so sexy and like alive, but also I was working for her. And then we broke up, and I was working for me, and I made myself a slave of me. And I burned myself out a lot. My therapist says it's adrenal fatigue, and there's a contextual depression that I'm in now. It's probably high functioning depression for sure. And then I have this partner who just kind of wants me to feel safe and happy and loved. And I hate it. And it causes me to resent her in certain ways, because I'm like, you're not pushing me. That's not healthy, and she doesn't deserve that. And I'm like, do I not love you enough? Do I not love myself enough? Is this not how I want to feel in love? But like, is the way that I want to feel in love not actually love? It's conditional love. So do I just need to kind of sit here and force myself to get comfortable with this? Or do I have like an amazing person in my life who I'm never actually gonna like, I don't want to say never, but like I can't actually get comfortable with because I'm not ready, you know? Emotionally, I'm not ready to actually have a love that's safe and non-destructive. And maybe there's elements that I miss of my ex that are like just it's her personality, sure, or it's the way that her personality mixed with mine, and I can't actually get myself to behave that way around the clock like I'd like to, you know? Even when I was single and I was pushing myself to go on these trips and I always wanted to go to a new coffee shop or I wanted to explore a new thing, like the energy that it took to keep myself going was exhausting, you know? It's like I kind of associated as like I was kind of just floating through space and then she came in and she's this other atom over here and now we're sort of in a dance. And then she ruined my heart and she exploded over here and I exploded over here and now I'm kind of like this frenetic little atom that's like, what's next for me? What's next for me? Where do I go? Who's next? And then I found this girl and I'm like, yay. And she's kind of holding steady. And she's kind of doing her thing and she's amazing and she's just doing her thing and I'm just like, dance with me, take over. Because the pressure of trying to move my life forward on my own is a lot and it's too much. And it's not too much, like I could do it myself, but I don't want to do it myself. But also I can't expect someone else to push me forward and she won't. And she's like, I just want you to be happy. And like, you really need to slow down and take a break and like go easy on yourself. And I'm like, but I don't want to go easy on myself. I want to be the powerhouse. I want to be the bull. I want to charge into everything that I do. And not being able to is creating a lot of suffering in my life. And that's the other thing that I, wanted to say is like, I'm being ground to a halt right now from the universe. And maybe I met my current partner because it finally, like, she was safe enough for me to make it safe for me to slow down. And now things want to come up and I'm embarrassed about them. And I'm like, why am I thinking about my ex literally like a year and a half into my relationship with someone else who's so much better? Like, legitimately, objectively so much better, but I can't get my ex out of my head. And then I feel guilt around that because I'm like, oh my God, why am I thinking about her like that? I should be fully present with my partner, but I can't be fully present with my partner because I never actually processed what I thought I processed when my life was happy and free and I was jumping off cliffs and living my life. And it's meeting me now. And there's a plan for everything, for sure. Maybe I'm not supposed to be with my current partner forever. Maybe the universe put her there because they knew that she was beautiful enough to make me feel loved in a way that I deserve to feel, but maybe I'm not ready to be loved like that. Or maybe we were just not meant to be, Maybe it just doesn't work and I need more spice. I don't know. I had this race that I did at the beginning of April. Running, 9 months ago was something that was really helping me feel good about myself and good in my body. And it was like kind of reframing the relationship I have with my diet and everything. And so I was like, let's go. And I signed up for a half marathon and I did really well. I ran it so much faster than I thought. And I was like, let's do it again in April and go for this goal, this time goal. And the running was so laborious. And it was like I was waking up every day and I was going to the gym. And then I was also trying to journal or meditate or something or whatever to process this because I started therapy back in January. And she was like, you really got to start doing that again. So I did. And then I'd go to work all day and then I'd come home and I'd need to run. And by the time that I was done with all of that, it was basically time to go to bed. And I put myself in another prison. So I really only started to like really do the work and try to surrender and spend a lot more time on the work after that race was over. But I still feel like I'm resisting it, and I'm not consciously resisting it. I won't confront the truth. I'm sure the truth is there. I'm trying to do that now. I feel like I'm about to like ruin my relationship because I can't figure it out and I'm not happy and I'm pulling my partner down and she wants to support me, but now I'm kind of like the sinking person who's like drowning her. And this resistance that I have to slowing down, I think, is really going to destroy a beautiful relationship. And there's too many things that I'm trying to figure out right now around the partnership and the purpose of the partnership and what I want out of my life and what kind of job I want to have, and what kind of person I want to be, it all feels like there's a question mark around it. And I can deal with 1 or 2 question marks. I actually love that. It's like my life feels safe and balanced and I have a purpose. But when everything starts to feel like a question mark, I've never felt like this before. And I'm really slowly surrendering to it. But I am. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Whatever happens needed to happen, right? I'm trying really hard. I also have to not try. That's what my therapist says. So I'm like, hello. It's a fucking mess. And I don't have any other details to provide to you. Other than I went back to back to back to back. And I can't do that anymore. So only time will tell what happens next. Anyway, thank you for being here. Taking my honesty. Allowing me to be vulnerable. None of that was planned. And I'll see you when I see you. And I hope you're doing well. And let me know if any of this resonates. I don't even know if anyone still follows this channel or if I'm going to have like 7 views. But I love you. And I will talk to you later. Goodbye.